So thank you, Adriana, for organizing this Reshaping the Healthcare Business as part of this OU Global Risks and Threats series. And I am so pleased to be here to talk about healthcare IT professionals and how they are so critical for this COVID-19 economic recovery. And it's so nice that there are so many different speakers on topics very, very related to this COVID-19 and economic recovery. And so I'm really pleased that I can interact and be part of this series. So let me start with saying, you asked, what is the role of healthcare IT professionals in this? And I want to start off by saying we had a great demand for health IT professionals even before COVID. So all this started, I would say, around 2009 when the HITECH Act came into force. And so hospitals, as well as many healthcare organizations, started greater use of technology. And so the catalyst, I would say, was regulation, and there were incentives for using technology. So the healthcare organization then started looking at how to improve efficiencies, how to improve workflows, how to get better hospital performance by using technology. And it was a lot of record keeping, electronic health records technology, health IT systems, and also some level of planning using analytics so that healthcare outcomes could be improved. And the planning would be like, okay, let's optimize. How do we use our operating rooms more efficiently? How could we be getting into supply chain and other transactions in a more efficient way? And of course, behind all of this is your pet area, there was always this need to be compliant with the regulations, exchanging of personal health records, privacy issues. So there was a great need for health IT professionals who know how to use technology and really get hospitals and healthcare organizations into the information age, so to say, in at least in the area of managing health and patients. And therefore, I looked at one of the projections by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and 1 out of 6 jobs, or rather the growth rate that was projected was at 8% between the years 2019 and 2029, which was double the average rate for other jobs. So you see how critical the demand was. There was a shortage actually of healthcare and IT professionals. And then came COVID, right? So what happened with COVID is then all this demand just escalated. And not only did it escalate, the demand is now so urgent because we need to not only treat patients and recover from a health perspective, but we also need to recover from an economic perspective. And so what is it about the healthcare that is slightly different? One, we are going to have to provide access to many more citizens. You hear about hospitals really being overwhelmed with the number of patients. And so you're going to be treating more patients and seeing more clients and patients. You have to cover a greater geographic areas. You need to reach into rural areas. You need to be much more efficient. And importantly, you need to be predictive in the sense that you have to be forward looking, right? I mean, this is not a time where you say, oh, let's wait for the patient to come to the hospital. But instead, what you need to do is do some location and analytics and figure out, okay, this is going to be a hotspot. Let's get ready and let's try to prevent the big overwhelming of the hospital facilities in that area. Another way is to what is now called as behavioral analysis. You look at masking, you look at congregation of people. So you start tracking people's behaviors, and then through that you get better prepared. So it's a lot of planning that needs to be done. It's not, the technology uses now what I would say is even more intelligent use. And one area where it's really grown so much is in the area of telemedicine. So telemedicine, Forrester research predicted that there is going to be a billion visits, a billion virtual visits this year alone, of which close to about 900 million is going to be due to COVID-19. And so telemedicine as a technology has become so popular. And the same survey that was done by Forrester says that 25% of healthcare organizations have it. In other words, 75%, as per their prediction, do not have access to telemedicine. So you need health IT professionals to help you use these technologies, and the new type of technologies, like I mentioned, artificial intelligence, data analytics, and what the other term that is being used now is what is known as non-pharmaceutical interventions, NPI. What this means is it's not a clinical intervention. It's not after the patient has come, but it is before, looking at behaviors, like I mentioned, and then being able to predict, make use of robots to perhaps hand out sanitizing wipes, right? Mobile applications, so that now you reach remote areas, you text messages saying, please wash your hands. So healthcare providers can then reach to their customers and say, did you engage in these type of behaviors today? Did you wash your hands? Did you do this? So it's a lot of patient monitoring, very personalized medicine. And all of this, as I mentioned, has created much more demand for health IT professionals. And it's not just IT professionals, some of the healthcare professionals, like the doctors and nurses, also need some help in using these technologies. And I'm going to show a slide here wherein I went into one of the forums, physician and nurses forum, where they exchange their experiences. And I picked up a few of those statements. And as you read these statements, you can see how some of the physicians who were not as inclined to use technology earlier now see the potential of telemedicine and other technologies. And you can also see where they are having problems. It's one statement says, 50% of my telemedicine encounters have some sort of technical issue that we easily spend the first 10 minutes dealing with. It's a waste of time. It is frustrating. You want our healthcare professionals to be treating and not spending time on, technology and, improving and fixing it. So we need a lot of health IT people to help this use of technology, to identify intelligent uses of technology. The data that is coming is not all structured data, so you want to do some text analytics. You want to do the behavioral analysis, combine it, and then be able to be ready and to say, okay, this is going to be a hotspot. Location analytics is something that we've used before, but now it's going to become even more important, geolocation analysis. So in many different ways, what we are going to see is greater need of technology, intelligent use of technology, supporting role of technology. And I want to emphasize here, Adriana, that, if this technology was just a widget, you go purchase or like a light bulb and, fix it up. And then, you may say, oh, health professionals, nurses and doctors can go ahead and use this technology. It's not that kind of off-the-shelf software or hardware. It's really, again, I emphasize intelligent use of technology, because when you get telemedicine, you can use it like now, the way that we are doing, that we use it like a Zoom, just a kind of a medium to exchange. But you can also use telemedicine in a very intelligent way by doing some remote monitoring. So you talk to your patients and then monitor their behavior via remote monitoring. And then the question is not just getting the data, what do you do with the data? How do you analyze it and help your patient, so that we can prepare our health IT professionals? Coming from the business school, I think they really have an advantage, that they understand workflow, they understand what is organizational revenue generation, revenue cycle management. So they are in the best position. And not only do we develop the skills, we also create knowledge, because we do a lot of research on telemedicine. In fact, I had got a grant from Presbyterian to look at the extent to which IT can improve hospital performance. So you track and see where is the improved performance in patient outcomes, in economic performance. One of our faculty did a work on the telestroke network, and this was a research that got a lot of press because it won the best paper award. Rural areas in Georgia and South Carolina had the telemedicine set up, but they were not using it. Why not? So he spent a lot of time understanding and figuring out that there were structural issues. So there's a whole lot of knowledge creation, and this knowledge development along with knowledge creation, I think, is really going to improve, what I call as improved health, wellness, and economic wealth. So that's what we are doing, and we hope to be participating in this economic recovery in a very big way.